Wow. Just wow. I have to show you this video. You don't have to watch the whole thing, just the first couple of seconds, because this retarded libertarian has the nerve to compare white supremacists to the economic fallacy of if everybody has money, then everybody has spending power, and ignores completely the result of inflation. But what gets me is the fact that he's comparing inflation to an assertion of biological evolution. I mean, I do not agree with white supremacists. I think they're fucking stupid in that they believe they need to preserve the white race, and that's somehow contrary to everything that we know about Darwinism. I mean, think about it. They say that the white race is superior. Then, therefore, they have to protect the white race by not mixing bloods or whatever the lingo they want to use. But that does not make sense because biology suggests that we need to diversify our gene pool in order to maximize production, to maximize health. That's why you're not supposed to fuck your relatives. If you fuck your relatives, it has dire consequences on your genetics. It compounds all the faults. It causes the risk of mental retardation. It causes the risk of health hazards and things like that. I think sometimes those statistics are exaggerated, and that incest is not quite as detrimental as they want it to appear, and mostly it's just a social stigma. But the fact is that it's true. There are physical evidence to suggest that having sex with relatives hurts your gene pool. And therefore, it's suffice to say that having sex with your own race, while not quite as bad, would still hurt your gene pool. The point would be to diversify your genes as much as humanly possible. So, knowing that, knowing biology, how can you claim to be a supremacist of anything, or even just a nationalist? Even just one of these wishy-washy white nationalists that says, oh, I don't care what other people do, but I just want to keep my kids white, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's contrary to scientific analysis. But then, aren't most of these right-wing positions? But back to the point, this guy actually compares inflation to that presumption that whites have to be preserved like some kind of endangered species. And that's just completely pants-on-head retarded. I don't even know how you can begin to think that way. Where did he go wrong where he's like sitting in a room thinking about making this video, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to compare white supremacists to inflation. How do you come up with that? Were you on acid? What the fuck? It just completely boggles my mind, the level of stupidity that emits from right-wingers, and then they want to fucking tell us what to do. Then they want to dictate to us what we can and cannot say, because it's my form, my property. And everything that comes out of their mouths is fucking retarded. It's dumb as shit. There is nothing I have ever heard that is quite as stupid as comparing racism of any kind to inflation. But that symbolizes capitalists at its core. The fact that everything comes down to a monetary value. Capitalists do not see people as human beings with rights and with dignity that deserve respect. They see them as a commodity. Even this guy, who probably doesn't make a whole lot of money and fucking lives with his parents and is struggling day by day, still believes that human beings are not actually endowed with certain inalienable rights as living creatures that can think and can feel and can act. All he sees them as is furniture. All he sees them as is a certain commodity that just doesn't have a price tag on it yet. That is the mentality of the bourgeoisie. That is the mentality of these sociopaths, even when they are not the capital owners. This guy doesn't own shit. But meanwhile, he thinks just the same because something went wrong in his head. I don't know. Maybe his parents dropped him as a baby. So, that's what it comes down to. Capitalists see us not as people, but as property. Just property they don't own yet. Or property that is unattended and that they own vicariously through force because no one has declared it theirs just yet. And knowing that, you have to be very careful with how you interact with these people, because they will hurt you. They will manipulate you. They will take you for granted. They might even kill you. That's why I am so serious about my fight against moderators, because I know every single fucking moderator thinks that way, whether or not they admit it, whether or not they know it. And this guy just happens to be blunt about it and just come right out and say it. But most are not that honest. Most are not that, loud about it. Most of them are subtle. And the fact that they think they can do whatever they want to you, unaccounted for, no responsibility, no will of the people, nothing, proves it more than his words. I mean, it's one thing to admit to it, but it's another thing to act on it. And moderators act on it. So everything you see wrong with this guy is just the tip of the iceberg to the bourgeoisie of the moderators. So I guess that's all I have to say.